Hi and welcome back to Classic Vinyl Top 10, and today we are in Singapore. Hi and welcome back to Classic Vinyl Top 10s. Today we are doing the top 25 debut albums of all time, in my opinion, of course. And the rules for this, obviously it's the first album. And to be included, it needs to have more than a couple of hits. So, good debut albums like The Smiths with This Charming Man and stuff like that will be excluded from this list in favour of those that have a more full, complete album. And hopefully you'll see what I mean as we go down this list. For starters, I'll just give you a few of the albums that were close but didn't quite make it on the list. So we have people like Keane, we have Susie, we have The Cars, we have The Waterboys, we have Ben Watt, Julia Fordham, Hendrix, Arctics. So all those didn't quite make the cut in my 25. So let's get on with it. At number 25, we have got one of the most underrated bands, I think, in recent times. Scottish band, and hardly produced. They certainly weren't prolific. We had an album every 5-6 years. This is the Blue Nile. And this is Walk Across the Rooftops with the amazing Tinseltown in the Rain on, Heatwave, Stay, Easter Parade. So a couple of minor hits for them in the UK, certainly, but the overall album has a certain feel. And not would I say 100% original? I can't see many of their influences, put it like that. So it's a great start. Blue Nile. Okay, number 24, we have a band that made it big really, having been around for some years, who went on to win the Mercury, and they are Elbow. And this is their first album, Leaders of the Free World, and this has got Station Approach on, Leaders of the Free World, The Ever There, and Great Expectations, and Puncture Repair. So yeah, truly fits the criteria I've set here for decent debut albums. Elbow. 23, we have from 1979, a band that includes at least 2 dead people, which isn't really the criteria, but just so that you know. And this is The Pretenders, their debut album, which includes, and this sort of crept up on me. I wasn't a big Pretenders fan in early days, but going back, as opposed to just having 4 really decent songs on here, Private Life, Kids, Stop Your Sobbing, and Brass in Pocket, the rest of the album is well worth a listen if you haven't given that a go, if that passed you by the first time. So Pretenders. 22. An album that you may not expect to be on this list. Midlands band. This is from 1980, I think. And this is Dexys, Searching for the Young Soul Rebels. And it was from this album that Gino came and the whole Dexys thing really started. But it's a lot more than Gino on here. We've got Burn It Down, Tell Me When the Lights Turn Green. We've got There, My Dear. Couldn't Help If I Tried. And whether you like Roland or not, I think this is a bit of a genius debut album. So that's Dexys. Okay, another underrated band, in my opinion, another Brum band. This is from 2005, actually, so one of the more recent albums on this list. And this is The Editors, and this is The Back Room. And on here we've got Lights, Munich, Bloodfall, All Sparks, and Bullets as well. So, you know, well worthy meeting our criteria. The Editors. One I actually haven't got a vinyl for. I was surprised to find out when I did this list, but this is a debut album from a band who I think are much maligned unfairly, and I think do amazing things in the studio. I've only seen them live once, but can't remember a fat lot about it, to be fair. And this is Tears for Fears, and this is The Hurting. And as opposed to having Mad World and Pale Shelter and Change on here, this really was the start of a band who were not yet at the peak of their powers, in my opinion. Tears for Fears. Then where are we? Come on, you can do it. At number 19 from 1984, it's Oasis, and it's definitely maybe Rock and Roll Star, Shaker Maker, Live Forever, Supersonic, Cigarettes and Alcohol, Slide Away. You know, it's a good album without doubt. At number 18 from 1970, so one of the earlier albums on here, we have yet another Brummie band, and probably one of the most famous of all, and clearly one of the biggest influences on the stuff that came afterwards. And this is the first Black Sabbath album, Black Sabbath, with the excellent Black Sabbath on, NIB, Evil Woman, The Wizard, Behind the Wall of Sleep. So yeah, the start of a lot of things for a lot of bands, Sabbath. So going from Sabbath to a band that you wouldn't normally count as bedfellows, but this is from 1977, and it's their only studio album. So it's their debut album, and it's their only studio album. So following on from Black Sabbath, we have the Pistols, of course, and never mind the Bees. And I'm sure I've said this before on the channel. I don't think it's a fantastic album. I think it's got 4 fantastic singles on: Anarchy, Vacant, Holidays in the Sun, and God Save the Queen. The likes of which I don't think we'll ever see repeated. So for that alone, they've got to be on this list. But I think the rest of the album is pretty average, to be fair. But nevertheless, those 4 make it an amazing debut album. Like I say, the only studio album they got round to doing. Which brings us to number 16, and I'm sure I've waxed lyrical on this album before for a number of reasons. One is the drumming, particularly the hi-hat work from David Palmer. 2 is the production from Trevor Horn. 3 is the amazing vocal on a lot of the tracks. And he still continues to sing this well, I think, which is Martin Fry. So this is ABC's debut, Lexicon of Love, with Show Me, Poison Arrow, Many Happy Returns, Tears Are Not Enough, The Look of Love, Part 1, All of My Heart, Forever Together, Look of Love, Part 2. So yeah, great debut album, great collaboration there, I think, of great minds on that. Number 15, a record I hardly ever see appearing in people's lists or bests of, or, you know, most critically loved. But when you're in the mood for something a little melancholy, maybe something a little Irish, this is Damien Rice, and O. And it was from 2002. And I think he had a couple of hits, didn't he, with Volcano and The Blower's Daughter, and maybe even Cannibal. But Delicate, Volcano, Blower's Daughter, Cannibal, all brilliant. And the rest of it supports that without doubt. So, Damien Rice. At number 14, we have a band that, in my opinion, never surpassed this debut album. And I'm still smarting from them pulling out of the Spurs gig last year, the day before they were due to play because of Vedder's illness, apparently. So what can you do? But Pearl Jam and 10 with wonderful Matt Cameron on drums as well. So we've got Once, which is rock classic, Even Flow, rock classic, Alive, rock classic, Jeremy, probably my favourite, Black, Porch. Yeah, I mean, it's well worthy of a place, I think, in anybody's debut album list. Number 13, the oldest album, I think, on this list, And I'm slightly going off piste here by including this because it really is about what's to come. I think this really sets the ground, and yes, there's a couple of hit singles off it, but it really sets the ground for what's to come. And the sound of the vocals, the sound of the amazing keys, Densmore on drums, Krieger on guitar. This is the debut Doors album, The Doors. And what were the hits? The hits were Like My Fire, I think. Well, definitely I know. I think it was Break On Through, possibly a single. Anyway, that, and it's a great 60s looking album cover too, which all helps. Which brings us into number 12, and this album again sort of showed you what was going to come, but stood by itself. Its own standing as a standalone album is still excellent. And these were 4 Irish lads from Dublin, and this is U2 Boy. I Will Follow, classic. Twilight, classic. Out of Control, Stories for Boys, Day Without Me, Another Time, The Electric Co, Shadows and Tall Trees. Yeah, excellent 4-piece that went on to do bigger, and at some point I think were the biggest band in the world, I'd say, for 2 or 3 years, around about mid-80s, late 80s, something like that, 87, 88. Okay, number 11. A band that I think hit the height of their powers when they released their debut album, as so often happens, I think. I've said this before, I'm sure. A band works for a number of years, writes a load of songs, suddenly they get picked up by a label and they stick all their best songs on the first album, and then struggle with albums 2 and 3 after. But anyway, what an album this is. This is Television, Marquee Moon, See No Evil, Venus, Friction, The Epic Marquee Moon, Elevation, Guiding Light, Prove It, Torn Curtain. Okay, side 1 much better than side 2 in my opinion, but again, I would say it's unique. I don't think you've got that combination of Verlaine's guitars and his, I'd say, unique vocal. And then you've got a jazz drummer on drums. It's all very interesting. Loved it from from the opening chords, I think, of See No Evil. So yeah, Television. Okay, top 10 times. So, what's coming up next? This is an American band. This is a 1978 debut album. I heard it at school with friends, and it blew me away. Whatever you think of the lead singer, I think there's no denying that the guitarist has been one of the brightest guitar sounds over the last couple of decades, I should think. He's been really, I think, probably the only new guitar hero that we've had post the 70s. And so this is Van Halen, the first album. And You Really Got Me, which is a great cover, actually, of the Kinks song. Jamie's crying, On Fire, Running with the Devil, with the, I think it was the car engine in reverse as an opening sound. I'm the One, Ain't Talking About Love, probably my favourite, brilliant guitar riff. Feel Your Love Tonight, Atomic Punk, Eruption. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Gene Simmons from Kiss was involved in finding them, funding them, early days. So I'll turn it up the right way. So, Kiss did do something good in the end. No, I don't mean that. Don't write in. Okay, so number 9. One of my favourite bands, a great debut album from 1978, part of the new wave thing, or they suddenly jumped on the coattails anyway. All 3 members, would be a compliment to any other bunch of musicians. This is Outland Ostermore by The Police. Next to You, So Lonely, Roxanne, Can't Stand Losing You, Truth Hits Everybody. I mean, yeah, a great album, followed up by an even better album, I thought. So that's The Police, which brings us to number 8. A band I talk about a lot, and it seems not a lot of other channelers do, but I'm still banging that drum. And this album is from 1981, debut album, another Brummy band. 4 people who gelled so well on stage, I always thought, and the studio work was great as well. This album, 1981, one of my favourite drummers as well, Pete Hammond, and this is the Au Pairs, playing with a different sex, way ahead of their time lyrically, full of passion, aggression, and they didn't overplay. I think Pete Hammond on drums was the driving force, and everybody else played around him, and the bassist Jane. So yeah, there you go, the Au Pairs. Do give it a listen. If you've never caught them, do give it a listen. Number 7, from a few years previous. This is from 1977, part of the punk new wave movement in the UK. This is a ridiculously good debut album, and at the time I think the thing that came across as unique was the bass playing, or the bass sound I should say, the bass sound of Jean-Jacques. And this is the Stranglers and Rattlesnake with the amazing Dave Greenfield on keyboards, who's sadly no longer with us, but you can see Jean-Jacques playing under the Stranglers name still these days. I think he's coming to the Midlands very shortly, actually. And you can see Hugh Cornwell separately if you want, and he still plays the odd Stranglers song, certainly. But yeah, Rattlesnake, Sometimes, Goodbye to Lose, London Lady, Princess of the Streets, Hanging Around. What a genius, side 1. And then on side 2, you've got Peaches, Get a Grip on Yourself, both singles, and then Ugly and Down in the Sewer. So yeah, a proper album, you know, start to finish. Rattlesnake. Okay, number 6 from 1988. This is a lady who I saw support John Martin in Bristol donkeys years ago, but I was otherwise occupied, so I really wasn't paying attention to her set. And then shortly afterwards, I'm not sure how soon afterwards actually, but it wasn't long afterwards, she was on stage at Wembley standing in for somebody. I think she was standing in for Stevie Wonder. Is that right, or is that a myth? I don't know. Standing in for Stevie Wonder at the Mandela concert at Wembley. This is Tracy Chapman with her debut album. And just, you could just feel the sadness in her voice. Simple songs, beautiful melodies, perfectly executed. And we've got Talking About a Revolution, Fast Car, Across the Lines, Behind the Wall, Baby Can I Hold You. Amazing side 1. Mountains of Things, She's Got a Ticket, Why, For My Lover If Not Now, and For You, and not a bad side 2. So Tracy Chapman is my number 6 debut album. Okay, getting down to it now. The top 5. Are there any surprises in here? Well, if you've watched a few of my channel, then a few videos from the channel, then probably not many surprises. But if you're new to the channel, yeah, let's just crack on. 1977, I heard this album walking into Curry's or some electrical shop like that. I think it was Alan Freeman playing this, which doesn't sound right, does it? Alan Freeman playing The Clash. And this is the debut album, The Clash, which I just couldn't believe when I heard it. Janie Jones, Remote Control, I'm So Bored with the USA, White Riot, Hate and War, What's My Name, Deny, London's Burning, and that's just side 1. Side 2, Career Opportunities, Cheap, Protex Blue, Police and Thieves, great cover, 48 Hours and Garage Land. Yeah, very English, aggressive, passionate. Yeah, it just makes your hair stand on end. And like I say, I think it's weird the fact that you have somebody like Freeman, who is on the way out, was brilliant in his time, but became a bit of a dinosaur. And if he did actually play the Clash, as I seem to recall, then that's pretty amazing, that transition. Anyway, that's the Clash. Number 4 from 2013, so the most recent album actually on here, and this is 12 years old. So why aren't there any good debut albums anymore? I'm just getting old, aren't I? People will no doubt say Kendrick and Drake and all that. Eminem. Anyway, this is a band who, to use that overused word today, soundscape. They definitely created their own soundscape, and they have a most beautiful, is it contralto, I think she sings in. But the 3 guys, lots of space, lots of atmosphere. I have at number 4, London Grammar, and If You Wait, from 2013, like I say. Hey Now, Stay Awake, Shire, Wasting My Younger Years, Sight Strong, Night Call, Metal and Dust, an Interlude, oh, gorgeous. Flickers, If You Wait. Okay, London Grammar. And the subsequent albums have all been good. The latest album's great as well. Number 3, a band that, in my opinion, have only produced one album that's worth paying attention to, and it really is worth paying attention to if you like melody. This is from 2001, and this is from a band that is, quite maligned, I think, here in the UK. I don't know how they go down in the States, if at all. But this is Star Sailor, and Love Is Here. The title track's beautiful, but the rest of it: Tie Up My Hands, Poor Misguided Fool, Alcoholic, Lullaby, Way to Fall, Fever, She Just Wept, Talk Her Down, Love Is Here, Good Souls Coming Down. Again, a proper full album. Genius, in my opinion. They've never come near it since, unfortunately, but you could just produce this and live off that for the rest of your days. Excuse me. Right. Number 2, another band that retrospectively I got more and more into. I remember seeing them at the time when they were touring early 80s, and saw them in Bristol somewhere. A friend persuaded me to go, and I liked them. And we used to play the WLP a lot in the shop. But it's in recent years that, as I've revisited it, it just stands out to me as, again, a true, complete album. This is The Chameleons and Script of the Bridge. And the height of their powers, I think, the first album, mainly centred around Mark Burgess. This is Don't Fall, Here Today, Monkey Land, Second Skin, Up the Down Escalator, Less Than Human, Pleasure and Pain, Thursday's Child, As High As You Can Go, Person Isn't Safe anywhere these days, Paper Tiger's View from a Hill. I mean, what's that? 3, 6, 9, 12 tracks, all 4, 4.5, 5 stars in my opinion, which is about as good as you get. And if you haven't heard of them, do pick up this album. John Lever, the drummer, sadly no longer with us, but yeah, The Chameleons, 1983, which brings us to number 1. And there's all sorts of people I really love who, for whatever reason, were signed early enough so that their best stuff was yet to come. And so I include in people like that David Bowie, AC/DC, these sorts of people, these sorts of bands. But there's one band that were just caught at the right time, I think, and this album gave you a preview of what was to come. But as a standalone album, it was brilliant. I wasn't there in 1969, or I was, but I was 8. So I don't think my parents were playing this, but you just listen to it now. You listen to the riffs, the vocals, the drums, of course. This is Led Zeppelin, and Good Times, Bad Times, Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You, You Shook Me, Dazed and Confused, Your Time Is Gonna Come, Black Mountain Side, Communication Breakdown, I Can't Quit You Baby, How Many More Times. Now, I know every now and again people perk up and say, oh yeah, but this is all copy of the blues and they just ripped people off and they didn't give them credit. Well, yeah, there's definitely some truth to them not giving due credit on songwriting. I think that is true, but as musicians, fantastic. As a debut album, amazing. One of the best drum intros of all times on here as well. Is it Good Times? Yeah, Good Times, Bad Times. Yeah, fantastic. I'm sure you've all heard it, but Led Zeppelin is my favourite. So, those are debut albums. Okay, I think I'll be pushing it if I start doing second albums, favourite third albums, etc, etc. So we'll leave it there for the moment. Anyway, I hope you're good. I hope you like some of that. Hope it makes you pick up the odd album or give it a listen on Spotify or Apple or what have you. Until next time, kindly like, subscribe, share, all that stuff. Ring the bell. All right. Okay. Thanks ever so. Cheers. See you. Bye. Bye.